Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously mind-bending thought experiment about the fundamental building blocks of reality itself. We're going to ask what sounds like a terrifying question: who is actually controlling your actions? Get ready, because we are about to explore quantum entanglement, agency, and the very illusion of the self. I want you to think about the hand you're using to hold your phone right now, or maybe the eyes you're using to watch this. Your physical body is constructed from roughly 10 to the 27th power dancing atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. I mean, that is an unimaginably massive scale. And we just naturally assume that these particles belong entirely to us, right? That they make up our flesh and execute our absolute will. But let's throw a giant wrench into that assumption. Imagine a bizarre cosmic event where every single atom in your body suddenly became quantum entangled with a conscious being in another dimension. For the sake of argument, let's just call them an alien. Because of this perfectly synchronized cosmic mirror, if you move, they move. Okay, to really grasp the stakes here, we have to understand what quantum entanglement actually is. In the quantum realm, particles don't have definite properties until they're measured. But once they become entangled, their states link up perfectly. They literally merge into a single shared description. So a change in one instantly correlates with a change in the other, and it doesn't matter if there are millions of light years sitting between them. Now, this concept completely violated what was basically the golden rule of physics, the idea that absolutely nothing travels faster than light. It bothered Albert Einstein so much that he essentially threw his hands up and dismissed the entire idea with one famous quote: "Spooky action at a distance." He just could not accept that the universe operated in such a deeply interconnected, instantaneous way. But here's the thing, entanglement doesn't actually violate the cosmic speed limit, and that's thanks to something called the no communication theorem. Think of it like having a red and a blue envelope. Opening your envelope and seeing a red card inside instantly tells you the card in the other envelope is blue, right? No matter how far away it is. But, and this is a massive catch, you can't deliberately paint your card green to send a message to the other person. You can't actively force your atoms to manipulate the alien's atoms. So you're probably wondering, why don't we experience this weird quantum behavior when we're just making a cup of coffee in the morning? Well, it's because of a process called quantum decoherence. Quantum states are incredibly fragile. The chaotic, warm, and wet environment of human biology shatters these delicate connections almost instantly through heat, light, or just microscopic collisions. But hold on a second. Could advanced biology somehow preserve this macroscopic entanglement? Emerging science is actually showing us that plants using photosynthesis and even birds navigating their migration routes actively rely on quantum biology, which totally suggests that an incredibly advanced alien species, or maybe even a future version of us, could theoretically shield their biological quantum states, meaning our bizarre thought experiment, it might actually be physically plausible. Let's zoom in a bit on the actual anatomy of a decision. When you consciously choose to move a muscle, what's happening under the hood is a rigid, physical sequence of atomic reactions. If you trace the path, an electrical impulse travels down a neuron, which triggers an influx of calcium ions, which then releases neurotransmitters across a synapse. At its very core, your choice is entirely physical. So if the calcium ions in your brain are perfectly instantly synced with the ions in an alien's brain across the cosmos, we have to ask a terrifying question. If both of you reach for a glass of water at the exact same time, who actually initiated the action? Who is the puppeteer and who is the puppet? The famous 1983 Benjamin Libet experiment makes this whole thing even more unsettling. Libet demonstrated that our brain's electrical activity, known as the readiness potential, actually prepares for a physical action a full 500 milliseconds before we even consciously feel the urge to do it. Let that sink in. In other words, your brain decides what to do before you do. And this traps us in what's known as the trilemma of will, basically leaving us with three distinct scenarios for who actually possesses true independent free will. Scenario 1 puts you as the master, meaning the alien is just a biological marionette dancing to your choices. Scenario 2 flips it entirely. The alien is the master, and you're the puppet driven by cosmic echoes. But Scenario 3, superdeterminism, is definitely the darkest. In this one, neither of you has agency. Both of you are just helplessly playing out a script written at the exact moment of the Big Bang. Now, you might think we could easily solve this mystery just by looking at the timeline and measuring who moved their hand first. But Einstein's special relativity completely ruins that plan. Time is entirely relative. In the model of the universe known as Minkowski spacetime, a universal clock simply doesn't exist. There is no such thing as an absolute now shared across the cosmos. Because of that relativity, the order of events literally changes depending on how fast you're moving. An observer flying by in one direction might see that the human moved first, but a second observer moving in a different direction would swear on their life that the alien moved first. In quantum mechanics, the entire concept of causal timing becomes completely meaningless. To escape this kind of existential dread, a lot of modern philosophers turn to a concept called compatibilism. Think of it as a philosophical escape hatch. Compatibilism argues that as long as your actions align with your own internal desires, you still have free will. So even if an alien's atoms are shifting in absolute unison with yours, if you genuinely wanted to take a walk, and you took a walk, your free will remains perfectly intact. But how does all of this impact your very soul? Well, under dualism, which is the idea that your mind is non-physical, this is an absolute nightmare. Your non-physical mind would be trapped in a hijacked physical body, screaming to go left while your entangled body pulls right. But physicalism offers a surprisingly beautiful alternative. If the mind is just the physical activity of the brain, you and the alien wouldn't be fighting for control at all. You would actually share a single distributed consciousness. Let's scale this up to the ultimate macro level with the many worlds interpretation. This cutting-edge theory proposes that the universe's quantum possibilities never just collapse into one single outcome. Instead, reality branches out infinitely, literally creating a brand new parallel universe for every single possible choice. In this breathtaking framework, you aren't just entangled with one alien. You are perfectly entangled with an infinite web of alien counterparts across a sprawling multiverse. Every possible choice you could ever make is being realized in a parallel branch. This means free will doesn't just belong to you as an individual, it belongs to the entire cosmic system as this massive collaborative property. Finally, theoretical physics offers us one last huge mind-bending twist: the holographic principle. This theory suggests that our entire three-dimensional universe might just be a projection of information encoded on a distant two-dimensional boundary. If that's true, it means the unimaginably huge distances of space between you and this parallel universe might actually be a complete illusion. Think about it. If our reality is just a hologram, the raw data making up you and the alien are sitting right next to each other on that 2D boundary. Separation is an illusion. You are already touching. Imagine two fingers of the exact same hand poking through a piece of fabric. You're moving together not because you're somehow sending messages back and forth, but because fundamentally you are one single entity. The journey through this explainer ultimately reveals something incredibly profound. We are not isolated, accidental machines drifting through a cold, lonely void. If our atoms are this deeply intertwined, we are intimately connected participants, actively playing our part in a grand, beautiful cosmic symphony. So I'm going to leave you with this one provocative thought. The next time you make a simple choice, whether that's taking a sip of coffee or just turning your head, who out there in the unseen universe is sharing that exact same moment with you?
Please like and subscribe.